Hi, so today I'm going to talk about sensory issues and sensory processing. So, a lot of individuals with autism struggle with some type of sensory input, and typically they are hyper, Hyper, which means above or too much. They are hypersensitive to some things, and hypo, below, sensitive to others. So, a child, and this is just an example, a child may be hyper or too sensitive to something like touch or a paper cut, but they may be hypo or below sensitive to something like pain. Like they fall down and scrape their knee, and if they don't see blood, they keep trucking. They don't care. It doesn't faze them a bit. So each individual with autism, this is very, very specific and very personalized, and it may even change over time. So different things you can do to kind of help support that. Obviously, if you've got a child that's hypersensitive to some things, you may want to decrease those. If they're hypersensitive to like fluorescent lighting or hypersensitive to noise, find ways to kind of lessen those levels that they're around all the time. Now, ultimately, these children are going to have to learn at some point, probably, to cope with some type of like classroom noise or to, lights in the room. You can't have it like completely dark all the time. But this needs to be planned, and it needs to be targeted by a behaviorist to work on some of those skills to get them to where they need to be as far as being able to function with their peers in a peer environment. So I'm not saying oh, you got to deal with it, we're cutting on all the lights. No, you need to work towards that. That needs to be your goal, to have it like a typical classroom, but you may have to do some things to kind of tweak that where you can. Try to give them some input where you can. There's lots of other things you can do besides just cutting off all the whole lights in the whole room. You might can dim them, you might can change the color of the lighting, you might even could let them wear sunglasses or a cap sometimes, and I know that may go against some school rules, but you might can make some accommodations there to kind of help curb the situation and curb that level of hypersensitivity that they're feeling. Hyposensitivity is a little different in some things. You may need to step it up and provide some narration with things. If a child bumps into another child and the child with autism didn't faze him at all because it didn't hurt him, he doesn't feel that, but the other child is really hurt and in pain, you may have to do some social stories there. You may have to work through some of those situations to explain, okay, that may not have hurt you, but that hurt this other little boy, and that can be a problem. We need to check on him. We need to see that he's okay. We need to be more careful next time so that we don't hurt other classmates. So there's lots of different ways to go about this, but it's just important to remember that these kiddos deal with hyper and hyposensitivity to all of their surroundings and environment, and even within their own bodies as well on a day-to-day basis.